Hey there, it's Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan. We're looking at a Toyota Altezza. This one here, an RS200 model, 260,000 kilometers, 3SGE, that's the Beams engine in there. And this one has been aftermarket supercharged. And so this one was bought from auction here in Japan. It's going to be exported over to the USA. This one's going to Baltimore. And we'll take a look at the condition of the car and compare it to the auction inspection sheet. Must say, you're getting a supercharged, modified Altezza with 260,000 kilometers. You're taking a bit of a risk when you do that. With a car like this, there could be some surprises. There could be some great things. We'll go over all of the condition. I'll tell you good and bad of this one. Here you can see 264.28 at the time of shooting this. That is the authentic mileage. And I'll switch the engine off for the rest of the report. The car came with a dead battery, and so the battery needs to be replaced. The battery won't hold any charge at all, so even if you leave it running, it's not going to be able to start. That battery is completely toast. Inside the engine room, there are a few modifications, as you'd expect from a car that has an aftermarket supercharger on it. First off, this electronics cover can't be bolted in because there's too many extra additional electronics that have been put in. A few modifications like this. You're picking up somebody else's project when you buy a car like this. And so there are going to be some mysteries such as that. You also have aftermarket HIDs, an aftermarket Cusco strut tower brace. The engine cover has been removed, leaving just the blank engine. The timing belt cover has been removed, and so as you can see, you can watch the timing belt go around. It's not necessarily a dangerous thing. If a rock or something gets in here, you can potentially skip timing, but the odds of that happening are really little because you've got a radiator protecting that area there, and for a rock to get its way from down there to up here is probably not going to happen. People have been doing that since the 1970s and continue to do it to this day. There's an aftermarket air filter here that goes directly into the supercharger, which is down there. Supercharger is basically well, pretty similar to a turbocharger. Actually, they predated the turbochargers. And where a turbo runs off of the speed of the exhaust gases, the supercharger just runs off of a belt. And so there is an odd sound on this one when the supercharger comes into boost. And I don't know if this is a broken supercharger on it or if it's a slipping belt, which is a thing on the supercharged cars. It makes it sound like wah, wah. How was my interpretation of that?
Sounds like me on a morning before my coffee.
Looks like our timing belt has been changed here at the 202,000 kilometers. And I didn't check the oil and coolant myself. So Jacob, how's the oil and coolant on this?
Good. It could do with being changed, the coolant, but plenty of oil.
Okay. Let's close the hood now. Oh, and aftermarket exhaust header that has been wrapped. A lot of people don't realize this. The purpose of wrapping that, a lot of people think it's to keep the heat out of the engine bay. It's actually not. It's to keep the heat in the exhaust manifold, because as the exhaust manifold heats up, it means that your exhaust particles are going to be moving faster. It's actually going to suck those exhaust particles out of the engine. How well it works? I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Probably not an awful lot, especially if you're going to be doing something like racing or driving fast for a long time, because at that point you've just heat soaked everything and there won't be a pulling effect as there would be. Okay, let's lower this hood. The Altezza hood prop is unlike any of the other Toyotas, and they tend to get stuck in here. Can you help me with this? I got only one hand.
I got it. Yeah, they don't get to see you trying to hold it up with your head. Let's come back first, right?
Yeah, there you go. And it clips up there. Weird. The MR2 does that as well, but that makes sense because it's their rear engine. And now I don't know what I'm doing coming over here. So pardon me, let's go back over to the auction sheet. And we'll go ahead and translate this. Keep in mind, this was the information given to us before we bid on the car. So this is what the customer knew before they decided that's the car that I wanted to bid on. So it's a 1999 Altezza RS200 Z Edition. What was that you guys were talking about with the Z Edition this morning? It's like the Z Edition comes with the LSD as long as it had a manual?
Yeah, Z Edition, as long as it's manual, LSD is factory standard. And automatics, you have to upgrade to the LSD.
Okay, so I don't know if you could hear that, but the automatic you could get with an optional LSD, but the Z200 comes with a stock LSD. And as far as I know, it's a Torsen LSD. That's most of the LSDs that came from the factory at this era. 2000cc, the Beams engine. It's 2000cc, 2-liter 4-cylinder, puts out 210 horsepower. So more than 100 horsepower per liter, which is phenomenal. It doesn't have a very good low range, but the supercharger does fix that. Auction grade 3.5, interior C, power steering, power windows, airbag. And then original white changed to pearl white. Kind of a weird move there, but if it's your car, do what you want. Sales points, purchase from user. This one was a no reserve auction? I think that's what it says. I might be misreading that. Aero parts in the front, side, and rear. Trunk spoiler. I quite like the spoiler on this one. Original 6-speed manual. That's right. The Altezza here in Japan came with a 6-speed, where the North American version, the RS200, came with only a 5-speed manual. Toll collection box, aftermarket adjustable suspension from HKS, aftermarket strut tower brace, Carzaria Navi system. Note section says aftermarket gauge for the boost. Aftermarket exhaust is HKS. It has a Blitz supercharger kit on it. Other modifications in the engine room, you're going to have to see it for details. Oh, you can kill the supercharger with a switch underneath the dashboard. I wonder if that's what the sound is. Do you mind hooking up the battery jump box? I wonder if there's like some bypass for the supercharger that makes an odd sound when you flick a switch. I'm not seeing a switch underneath the steering wheel. Yeah. You know what? I can't find a switch underneath here. They said there's a switch underneath the steering wheel, but there isn't one. Maybe there's a place for a switch here. No? No. Not seeing anything. Well, if you are the buyer of this, you can have us recheck that. For now, I'm just going to continue on with the report because we don't cut these reports ever. It's all done in one take, and we can't just be messing around or something like that. It certainly says that steering wheel left side lower area has a switch. One last check. Oh, there it is. Found it.
You want to try it?
Yeah. So we'll need to connect the battery jump box. So while you're doing that, I'll just continue with the report and we'll come back to that in a sec. Okay, so various other aftermarket parts, see in person for details, comes with 11 sheets of history, and the engine may have been swapped. Now the report section from the auction inspector says it's a color change car, the steering wheel is worn, the steering wheel is nasty, it's a pretend Momo steering wheel. Someone thought it would be a good idea for their business to just copy someone else's, including their brand name, and then just sell it for their own profit. Really dirty move there. Headliner is yellowed, which means it's been heavily smoked in usually. The headliner, while it is dirty, I'll give you a quick little glance at it. It doesn't really smell heavily of cigarettes, so that's a win. If you see a yellowed headliner, it usually means it's pretty nasty inside. And then that steering wheel, back to it, you'll see I left the plastic on it. That's intentional because the steering wheel is hyper sticky. Like imagine you took a whole watermelon and then you just like spread it all over your kitchen table and then you left it for a day and you came back the next day. That's how sticky it is. And it's, yeah, I'm going to leave that cover on as a result. Aftermarket air cleaner, aftermarket headlights and taillights, interior dirty and wear. Aftermarket wheels are scratched. They're a little on the weak side, these wheels, 18-inch work wheels. Left and right baffle cut and modified. So I think that's what they're talking about. And maybe there's another one in here that I just can't see. Probably something to do with the modifications. I'm not entirely sure, actually. And then rear panel lower section, dented spare tire house, dented, various scratches, dents, paint wave on the car, misaligned on both corners of the front bumper, misaligned on both corners of the rear bumper, and misaligned fender to door over here. We also have what they call a U2 here, which is actually part of pulling the fenders so wide that you can fit whatever tires you want underneath there. If you take a look at this, it has been yoinked right out. So this is more than just rolled fenders. You actually pull the whole thing out so that this line here is no longer perpendicular to the ground. It comes out even further. Gives you a little bit more space, but once you do that to a fender, you can't undo it. It's, yeah, you'd have to just replace the fender. Okay, so let's start that engine, see if we make that sound. And I think it's probably good for the video for you to hear that sound. And it's very, very loud if you have your head over here. Because you can hear it right through that air filter. But we're going to be in the engine room when we do that. It does sound like something's broken, unfortunately. But we'll see. Okay. And the sound goes away.
Oh, it's better now. Have you pressed the button?
Yeah. Now have a listen when the supercharger is deactivated. I'm so glad we tried that switch.
I'll rev it a bit.
Nah, it's okay. I think we got enough. Yeah, that switch just is an air bypass for the supercharger. I have never heard of that kind of modification, and I'm so glad that the supercharger's not busted on it. So if you let your friends drive the car, you can turn the supercharger off, and they'll be like, dude, your car's broken. Jacob, do you mind unhooking this battery jump box for me? And we recommend to the owner that we get the battery changed. We can absolutely do that for you. And then lower the hood when you're done. So I want to show you the misaligned fender to door a little bit here. It's not the worst. Front bumper's pretty bad. It's been put on with zip ties. So you can see a big gap. And then fender to hood is a bit off. I'd give it a 4 out of 10 in terms of severity. This one over here, probably a 1 or 2 out of 10. It's honestly not too bad. And then you can see this one here is also undone. It's just missing the bolts in here, for one. You might also have some things in and behind there that have been moved, like the cross member may have been bent a little bit, or the headlight bracket area could have been moved, because you're not having very good fitment from bumper to headlight there, nor over here. And then when I re-put on the zip tie, because it broke over here, I couldn't get it all the way up because it gets in the way of the headlight. So something's going to have to be massaged. Once you take the bumper off, it should be pretty clear what it is. And then the front bumper lip has been painted into a matte black. Not the coolest thing in the world, in my opinion. Because when you paint that, like originally this would have been painted the same color, right? Or a white underneath. You paint it black and you get rock chips, you're getting a ton of contrast, and you can see that's exactly what happened there. We also have a little bit of peeling in the grille. And yes, it says Altezza on it. Headlights, they're an aftermarket headlight, which is more prone to fading than the OEM ones usually are. I don't mind the design on them. I don't know. Some people hate, some people love. I don't mind. Coming down here, our side panel is actually really good. There is a bit of paint wave, but generally speaking, you're looking pretty good. On the roof, mind you, there are a few areas of paint fade, or what I would consider to be paint fade. It might, if you clean this, you might get rid of those completely. It's hard to tell, and I'm not ready to wipe it down with my sunscreen fingers. Rear bumper, same thing goes, misaligned. And then both the rear lip and the side skirts are having a little bit of a separation issue. What's this? Huh. Tiny bits of rust. Must be a defect in the metal. Rear spoiler. Like it a lot. This is, I don't know, I was going to say this is my favorite spoiler for the Altezza, but then I thought about the one that our staff Max has on his, and that's definitely my favorite Altezza spoiler. But a subtle lip spoiler, effective, and you might not think something this small is effective, but yes, something like this is effective. Looks nice too, and the difference in color makes it stand out a little bit more. I dig it. Taillights, both of them are aftermarket. Not bad, not faded, so good. What's this? Bird poo poo. And here's your aftermarket exhaust. Oh, I feel so much better knowing that the supercharger is not actually making that sound. A little bit of peeling paint on the black painted door handles. I kind of dig them, actually. It's not something most people would do, but I quite like it. The black and white combination reminds me a lot of the 8.6. And as people know, not everybody knows this, the Altezza is something of a spiritual successor to the original 8.6. It's like if the teenager that had the 8.6 gets a family and needs the 4 doors, you get a lot of the same stuff. It's rear-wheel drive, high revving 4-cylinder engine, really good handling, not super powerful. It's a good combination in my opinion. Let's go to the trunk now, and you won't be surprised to see what is in the trunk, given the rest of the car. A big subwoofer, yeah, and a strut tower brace, and the pass-through for your skis, which is kind of weird because nobody's actually taking these skiing, I would think. Underneath here is all looking fine. It's quite difficult to get underneath here because this is quite heavy and it's not easy to move, so I'll just leave it at that. We did take a picture for the next owner. And then looking around here, you don't have issues with rust or anything. Actually, aside from what I showed on that C pillar, or on the B pillar, pardon me, this looks like rust isn't an issue on this car, which is good. It's getting to the age where rust is an issue on these. Okay, door card looking fine. I remember when this car came out, I was like shocked by how much I liked the interior. Then again, that was also in 1999. But that was a pivotal point in my love for cars, was around 1998, 1999, 2000. I spent an awful lot of time searching the beginnings of the internet for all of the weird Japanese cars that nobody else knew about. I might have been the only person in my town that knew about the Altezza. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit. Door card. Decent. Maybe a little bit of wear. Not too bad. Seats. Looking okay, especially for 260,000 kilometers. That's a lot of mileage. Okay, steering wheel needs to go, no question about it. It looks pretty, it's not real. And then floor carpets, you're going to need to get those cleaned, otherwise it's not bad. Those are the stock pedal covers. And oh, we got a little bit of threadbare section here on one of the seams. Power steering's working fine, shifting's working fine, clutch feels okay. I know you can't really test a clutch until it starts to slip, to notice it slipping. Got a little Apex eye box there, not sure what it is, but if you know in the comments, let me know. This one here says speed meter V. It's like, it says 0.04 time, which is like, it's basically a quarter mile, 0 to 400 meters. Boost gauge, something here. Oh, that's exactly what these things do. Should have known. It's got Velcro on it so that you can take it off, but the Velcro sticks together when the glue on the back doesn't stick. What good is it Velcroing if you can't... yeah, I don't need to be complaining. I'm fine. Navi system that comes out and flips up, very dated, but I guess at some point it's going to look classic JDM, so kind of cool. Obviously has been smoked in, but it doesn't look like it's been heavily smoked in, honestly. Teeny little rip in this, and some wear on the top. Actually, this comes off. It doesn't make that sound, that was my mouth. Okay, and headliner has been cleaned before. That's really not too bad. Got a little hands-free thing and a wide-angle mirror. A JDM wide-angle mirror. Okay, and rear seats. We did a little bit out of order, didn't we? Reasonable amount of space in the back for legs, even for those who have adult legs. That's a win. This is basically a 3 Series competitor. I know Toyota benchmarked the 3 Series for this. It's a touch smaller. I believe it was the 36 that they benchmarked. Could have been the 46. Don't know. But yeah, I like both cars. The Altezza makes me smile when I see them on the road. BMWs, they do as well, just not as much. Okay, so our report is going to be finished here. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.